All right, welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, we have about 37 participants on the line. Let's bump that number up. Let's start inviting our teammates to get on this call because our speaker for today is Mr. Bill Predebon. Now, if you're new to the call or if you haven't met Bill, back in the day before getting started with Renatus, Bill was actually a pro skier in Vail, Colorado for over 10 years and realized he was not qualified to do much else other than skiing. So he actually got into the franchise industry around that time, but due to a lack of knowledge, it ended up costing him his whole business. Then in 2007, Bill had just heard about real estate investing, but didn't have the education like we did. So he tried it on his own and ended up getting upside down on a property during the crash in 2008. Then he was lucky enough, just like many of us, to find Renatus and found an opportunity where he could connect into an education and a community and an environment that could nurture him to really grow his business. In his first year alone, he made 8 times more than he had in the previous year. And ever since then, Bill has now done over 130 deals. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He's a PIT team member and a marketing leader. And we are just very fortunate to have Bill as our trainer today. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Bill Predebon on the line. So good morning, Bill. How is your morning going today? Hey, Bill, unfortunately, it sounds like we're not able to hear you entirely well. Bear with us, folks. This happens sometimes, but Bill is usually back on the line and we can hear him loud and clear.
How about now?
Yep. Now is perfect.
Interesting. I'll never figure that one out. All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for every day knocking it out of the park by getting this thing put together. I appreciate it. And I know the others do as well. And I know everybody on the line appreciates it. I think it's a great, it's just a great venue. It's a great opportunity for people to chime in and plug into something during their week. And I think it might make some people's days go a little better. So I appreciate you helping out with that.
Thank you, Bill.
Right on, brother. All right, let's kick it off, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're at 49. It's got to be one of my lower numbers for starting out, but I don't know, maybe it's the summer. If you want to reach out to any IMAs and let them know we're on the call, your team or whatever, then I'm going to do the same. The call is on. Get on now. All right. So, hi, Anthony. If you're around, or shoot me another text. I know we got to talk about that thing. So I was trying to just give you my quick input while I was driving the other day, but I'll chime in a little bit more. Hope you're doing well, brother. Good to hear from you. All right. I am going to put in my cell phone number for y'all, 760-533-3141. If you're on the webinar, you can see it in the chat. If you're not, then you have it. I'll go ahead and videotape this or start my video. There we go. Oh, where'd I go? There I am. I hate that thing. So I'm just going to put this up. Good enough. And I was going to change the way I view it here. Speaker view. No. There we go. Almost got it. I don't know. It's not the view I was hoping for, but I'll figure it out. All right. So remember, and some of you are brand new, so go ahead. And I think, I don't know, Abdi, if you want to record this or not. Oh, it is recording. That's so weird that I didn't see that. Okay. So let's kick it off. Remember, folks, if you got something, where's my chat? There it is. Good morning, Bill. Appreciate you taking the time to spread your words of wisdom. You're super welcome. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys taking the time to be on the call. So I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to call this a trip down memory lane. And I'm trying to decide what would be of the most value when you guys are on this call, and like where most people are, or a lot of people, no matter where they are in their business, right? So I was thinking about it, and let's see. I'm gonna kind of dive back in a little bit to where I was when I was starting, right? And so 2008. So most of us, you guys, we come to this for real estate, okay? So right off the bat, we've got to give ourselves a break when it comes to this business and your level of success. So I can promise you this. So for what I've seen at the top of the food chain in Renatus, there's a lot of room, right? There's an unlimited amount of people that can be making an unlimited amount of money, making $10,000 checks, making, 6-figure years, and then moving up into the pack, right? So that's the good news. I mean, there's lots of room. It's not like it's limited. So have that vision. Number two is just realize that you're embarking on a business. I don't care if you've been in it for a year or if you've been working on it for a month or whatever the case is, that you really didn't decide to do. Okay? So let me explain what I mean. I believe that most of us, there may be a few of you, but most of us joined Renatus and enrolled in a $20,000 education package with a little hesitation to begin with. But then even more so, you did it with the intention of doing real estate. And so when the introduction of the opportunity to sell the education and become an IMA was introduced to you or was discovered, it became something. Now, if we think about it, I'm guessing, and I'm what's that word? You do not need to know English to do this business, I swear. You should see me do my property tours. It's hilarious. But selfishly, we look at the marketing and we decide, we hear about it and we like the money, right? We don't know much about the business. We don't know much about the how it works and things like that. But the idea of enrolling two students and getting our education paid for after 4 students is intriguing, right? It's something that we feel would be interesting, right? And so we decide that we're going to try it out, that we'll go ahead and do it, right? So I'm going to weave this in here. So if you remember where I was, well, and many of you don't even know, but like, I'm going to put some practical stuff in here so you can take, this isn't just going to be all theory. And I want, because a lot of times I don't use the board so you guys can take notes and go implement stuff. But I hope that I bring stuff to you that you can actually take away and implement today, right? So I'm going to get to that. So number one is, like, when I got started, I was introduced into real estate. If you remember what Abdi said when he introduces me, is that, the reason, I was literally in a transition from a franchise, a sales, a sporting goods franchise business, owning Played Against sports stores, to moving into something, right? And I had to get a job. And luckily there was a loan officer job. And they hired everybody, as my wife said. And so the reason I even went that direction is because people that were in my store that had money and time, they all seemed to be in real estate. And it was during the boom in San Diego. So I didn't even know there was a boom. And they were telling me about real estate. So by the time it came for me to leave my stores and transition into something else, real estate was on my mind. But I knew nothing about it, right? So fast forward, I started to get into it a little bit, And, you know, as a loan officer, I was starting to make a little bit of money. I mean, I was kind of missing the curve out here in Arizona. And then in order to supplement my income, for that reason only, and number two, the only other reason I got my real estate license was not to be a realtor. I didn't want to be a realtor. I didn't even know what a realtor was. I wanted to learn about real estate education and real estate itself to be an investor. I didn't know that they didn't teach that, and I didn't know where else to go until I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Then I knew that I definitely wanted to learn to invest in real estate. And then, and I had bought one online overnight TV program, right? And was listening to that, and it just didn't have time for it. So move forward to Renatus. So I find Renatus, and I was in. I mean, if I'd have had the 20 grand on me right then, I would have paid anyway. I wouldn't even care if it was 40. Like, I didn't have a bunch of other programs to compare it to. I hadn't gone to weekend boot camps yet or anything like that. And so I saw it and I was in. I was like, okay, now I just got to find the money. They're telling me that if I buy this education, I'm going to do real estate. So that's what I wanted to do. Now, the issue that some of you may be experiencing and have experienced already, even if you've done your first deal or two, is that real estate is a process. I didn't have time for a process. I got lucky and I wholesaled my first deal in 6 weeks after listening to the wholesale. It was on CD back then, listening to the wholesale class and the negotiations class and things like that, and then going out and door knocking, right? And I got lucky. In 6 weeks from start to finish, I did a deal. At the time, it was a $6,000 check. I split 12 grand with the guy who enrolled me, and we decided we were going to do that, and we were going to make $1 million. And that was the end of 07, beginning of 08, and nothing was happening. And all the houses we would find were upside down, were losing value, and we didn't understand why. So I started to look to short sales. Short sales can be short, but most of the time they're not. And so now imagine this, you guys. So I would go to meetings because I was told to go to meetings, right? Thursday nights, the occasional Super Saturday. I wasn't really plugging in very much, but I was going to the meetings to meet people. And my mentor, my 5-star, talked about it a lot. You know, he wanted me to do a little marketing, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. But 3-4 months go by and I'm broke and I am not doing any deals. The short sales are not closing. I got a lot of work going on. I mean, I'm working morning, noon, and night. I got, you know, in the first 6 months, I had 100 short sales on my plate, like literally 100 files on this table that my wife had. I didn't even have a desk. I didn't even have office furniture. I was so broke. I mean, it wasn't like my wife wasn't broke, but I made us broke. There was no money for us to spend on furniture because we had just bought this 3,000 foot house with her credit, and you know the story. So, and my ideas. So think about where you are. I would go to the meeting, you guys, and I would stand in the back. I would get there late. I would stand in the back, and I was pissed. I was pissed that I was broke. I was pissed that people were making money. I was pissed I wasn't making money. I was pissed that real estate was hard, and that was kind of my attitude. Now I know that you guys aren't having that attitude. Don't get me wrong, but I'm getting to a point here, and the point is this: is that came a time when I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, I remember going in and talking to this guy, Mark, who was one of the leaders and doing really well. And I was like, what are you doing to make money? Like, I hear you up in the room and, you know, you're giving this testimony, you got a $50,000 a month or whatever, or you average 50 grand a month. And I don't know if that's over it wasn't necessarily at that time, but people were making some money enrolling students and I didn't know much about it. And so they're like, hey, you talk to your affiliate, you've got this IMA, blah, 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 blah. We make calls. I was like, okay. Because it was something else. It was another opportunity for me to make money and not get a job. And so now a lot of you can probably relate to not necessarily how it was introduced to you, but your approach to the IMA, right? And my approach to the IMA was lackadaisical. It was horrible, right? It was out of desperation. It was out of an option. But think about this. This is key. If you're writing anything down or taking a mental note, is that I did not decide to do IMA. I was forced to do IMA. Or you guys, I just assumed I would try IMA, right? So my mindset was what? Just like yours, real estate. My mindset was, I'm doing real estate. I'm going to do that all day long. That's my job. That's my business. And then I'm going to go to these meetings. All right. And so, we see people at the meeting, especially now, and they are enrolling students. And we know that there's money being made. We know that people are making this happen. And it's not necessarily happening for us, at least as fast as we want it to be, or as much as we want it to be, or whatever. Okay? So we want to do it. We even may desire that we are a successful IMA. And we dedicate ourselves, right? This is a call at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, and it's a dedicated call that you're on maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and you're committed to listening to us discuss these money-making activities and things. And you go to a meeting, perhaps you go to a Super Saturday, you don't miss those, whatever your routine is with your IMA. But if your mindset, and this is not a mindset training, but if your thought process is not take IMA as serious as you take your real estate business and your job, then naturally it's okay, but it's going to progress much slower than you want it to. It's going to progress. You're going to make a lot of more mistakes, and you're going to have a lot fewer people go through the system. And when the people go through the system, they're not going to enroll as fast. Now here, I'm going to explain to you why, and I'm going to go over some of those options for you and how to correct this, right? But I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to jump back. So if you think about it, right, I'm on the pit. It took my first year. So everybody knows I made, I don't remember now, 30 something thousand, I think 32. And my first year started in the spring of 2016 and goes to the end December of 2016. I was building a pipeline, but I only made 30 something thousand. I still had a phenomenal year in real estate. That's my bread and butter. And then in 2017, I said, well, I'm going to make the pit, right? And I'm going to double those numbers. And I worked pretty hard. Things went pretty well. I still did my real estate. I was still doing leadership. And I made $72,500, something like that. And I fell short based on one sale that didn't come through till January. I made some mistakes, calculating my numbers and really pushing the button. And I fell short of pit. But I doubled my income from the year before, right? And then 2018, I made don't quote me on these numbers, 102,000, I think, last year. And I was fortunate enough to be nominated to go on the pit, and my numbers made the pit, and so I was able to do that. So I was like, okay, so in 3 years I made the pit. Not true, right? If you think about it, I got 5-star qualified in 2008, okay? And so I was gone from 2011, March of 2011. If you look back at my commission history, earnings history, January, February, March, and even April, maybe of 2000, maybe I think it was March of 2011, when Renatus just kicked in, I made over 30 grand. I had 3 people enroll. And then some things changed and I moved on. I kept my 5-star. I paid my yearly fee, but I stopped marketing. It doesn't matter. It's still the same process. I still had the opportunity to be a marketer for Renatus, and I didn't, right? I chose to do other things. So in theory, it's taken me 10 years to do this. And so if you don't want to wait 10 years to get on the pit, then let's make a few changes, okay? So like, when you move forward to 2016, in what would have been my 8th year, I made a decision. At that point, I made a decision. I was just talking about this last night on the call with Gary, that I was going to commit to every single meeting. But not only was I going to commit to leadership in every meeting, but I was committed to the marketing. I had to tell myself that I was going to 100% spend as much time marketing the Renatus education and bringing guests as I was my real estate, which meant a couple different things, right? If you think about it, I had to step back from real estate. In fact, in 16, I made less money in real estate than I had made the previous 5 years because I started a new business, one that took away time from my real estate business. Number two is I had to also not only take away time from what was my bread and butter, what was bringing me in the income that I like, I also had to add time to Renatus. I had to double my workload. So I had to make a sacrifice. The only way to do that, right, is what? I got to cut out sports. I got to cut out family time. I got to cut out recreation time on Saturday. Whatever it is that you do or you did or you were thinking about doing, it became a non-negotiable time frame where I could not watch Monday Night Football. I could not play Thursday night hockey. I could not go and I could not watch the Masters Thursday through Sunday. I couldn't go play golf on Sundays, right? Because if I play golf on Sunday, I'm gone on Saturday. I'd have no wife time. And then I'm divorced. So follow me, guys. Like, there's major sacrifices to this, but it is well worth it if you want what you see in the leadership, or you imagine yourself doing. There's a difference here, okay? It's contradictory when you're becoming an IMA and you didn't volunteer to become an IMA. Like, if you imagine, right, we can market this opportunity to two people, a real estate investor or a business person, someone that wants to work from home, someone that wants to have an at-home business, someone that wants to be in sales, someone that wants to make money, right? And the startup cost of that business is 20 grand. The fastest way to money, that's your inventory, boom, you're it. Buy one, get trained, go through your training process, and you've got a business. You never have to do a freaking real estate deal your entire life because it's not about you. It's about them and you selling the product. You study you never watch a class if you don't have to. I mean, obviously that helps in the marketing and we know that, but if you're running a business and you're marketing funnels, you're out networking, you're studying the 10-step training, you're going to all the meetings and all the IMA trainings and the Super Saturdays, and you're, watching the AMP and doing all these drop cards and bit cards and all this stuff, those are marketing. You're just 100% as a marketer. Skip the real estate, right? We don't typically market to that because it's a hard sell. Why? It's MLM. It's a pyramid scheme. It doesn't work. Look at the average numbers for the first year, whatever the excuses are, right? And we don't know really very well how to market that type of person. We don't push ads out there that say, hey, make 10 grand a month in your new business for 20 grand, right? I mean, obviously you got to be compliant, but you get my point. It's not 2.9 out of 3 people want to do real estate. They like real estate. They have a 100-year history of understanding that real estate creates wealthy people, that real estate is long-term, that they can write-offs and all this stuff about real estate. So people want, right? We're all in good markets. Vegas, California, Denver, Arizona, Las Vegas, I said that, Seattle and Northern California, Northern Seattle, Washington. All of these are great markets up and down, right? They grow fast. So everybody knows that there's appreciation in real estate and so on and so forth. So it's an easy sell. Hey, you ever thought about investing in real estate? Yeah, of course I have. Oh, my family, this and that. You get your answers and you're like, cool, you got to see this. This is perfect for you, right? Even if you don't say it, you're thinking it. So remember, we have a complete contradiction when we're brought into this business as a real estate investor. Our job is to study the education, to put our money to work, to buy real estate, flip a home, do a wholesale, buy and hold, and that's what we focus on. Now imagine your life. Your life is this. You got kids, you're in school, you got a job, you got a household to run, you got sporting events to go to, you got a social life, you got to date your wife or your husband or your boyfriend, or you got to find a boyfriend or girlfriend. You got dogs, you got a whole life. You got cars, you got bills, you got extra jobs, you got all these things. There's no time for real estate. You got to study now. Then you got to learn. Then you got to go find deals. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And then you throw in a half-hearted IMA. All right? And I get it. It's not a cut down. You're not half in as an IMA. That's not what I'm saying. You love it. You want it. You believe it. You trust it. It's heart to head. Or head to heart. You've already gone to nationals. You've gone to regionals. You've committed to your 5-star. You've done EMT. Whatever it is, you're doing it. But your mind is telling you real estate. Now, I'm not going to sit here ever and tell you not to do real estate. Do not get me wrong. What my focus is and what my job is as this trainer is to understand the process of marketing and how I can help you get to where I'm at, if that's where you try to be, or obviously above that. Hundreds of people above me doing marketing, making money, been making money for years and all those things, and they're on the pack and all that stuff, right? Places I aspire to go with my marketing, right? But whatever it is you aspire to do in your marketing, if it's become 5-star so you can have a $10,000 a day, or if it's a cool shirt, what does it say? It says 30-year mortgage, ain't nobody got time for that. When you go to the leaders retreats, you guys, I haven't heard much about it this year, but Michael Huggins is he's just him and his team and his wife, Vanessa, you guys know him. They just seriously are always thinking ahead, and he constantly comes up with little themes. He does little pools on his calls and asks people what their ideas are for a shirt, and he puts together a shirt for the leaders retreat. And I think we've had one for every last 3 years, just like we do at nationals, but that's done by Bob and the team, the home team. This is done personally between all of us. So it was one from a couple of years ago when Velocity Banking came out. Good question, actually. So anyway, so like we are thinking real estate. We're obligated. Like imagine we've got our spouse or our family or someone we promised we would do this to, and we would do real estate, and we know that wealth is in real estate, and so we see the IMA and we want the IMA and we aspire to do the IMA, but we don't commit to the IMA. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're not committed. What I mean is your desire and your mindset is telling you, your subconscious brain is telling you that you are doing real estate, that your time needs to be spent, that you need to study and go make deals and make offers and all these things, which is fine. There's a time and a place. But if we're thinking about this business, and you got to go back to where I started. And in 2008, when I got started and I went to my mentor, and that's not compliant, when I went to my affiliate and I went to the leadership and I said, what do you guys do? They said, hey, we market. We bring people to these events and we make 10 grand, and here's the comp plan, our earnings plan. It was a comp plan back then, but here's the earnings plan. And this is what we do. And so I decided to engage in it because I was broke. I came out of desperation. One of the things that they told me was bring warm market. So you've heard this. I did about 12 warm market people in almost 45 days, and 4 enrolled. I ended up enrolling 5 people in 2008 as a marketer. And so I got 5-star qualified and made 20 grand. Actually, I made 18,000 in my first 60, 70 days of marketing, right? I got lucky again, but it was warm market people I was working with. So check this out. Exactly. You don't want to wait 10 years. You want to wait now. And so when I did it, man, I forgot my thought. Okay, hold on. When I did the marketing, I can't remember what I was going to say. Anyway, I was dedicated to the real estate, and I was doing real estate all day. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So check it out. I didn't have a job, you guys, and it caused a big problem. I don't suggest this, right? Number one is I felt like crap because I brought in no money, so I couldn't contribute crap to anything. So if I had to fill up my gas tank, I literally borrowed money from my wife. I mean, occasionally I wouldn't even sell a house. I would close a loan, but I don't know if I closed maybe one loan in 2008. I was totally living off my wife's income. She actually, it's such a crazy, she went into the schools as a speech path so that she could make enough money because they pay pretty well. And there was one of the worst school districts. It's A-rated school district, but in the lowest income, right? area, and it was far away from home. She had to drive and fight traffic so she could guarantee us enough money to pay our bills and give me money. And it was a problem. I mean, I tried getting a job, couldn't get a job. I didn't work very hard at getting a job. And so, you know, in that situation, I didn't seem like I really cared about our marriage. It was tough. I don't suggest it. But for me, remember, you guys, when I was doing this full-time real estate business and started doing the marketing, I didn't have a job. So I didn't have kids. I didn't have to fight against these things. So you can't compare yourself to me. Everybody's timelines are different. So if you have a job and you have a business and you have kids or whatever it is, you're trying to do this, you got to think about your timeline and where your commitment is. It's very difficult to do both. I can promise you, if Robert, I think you're off mute possibly. If Robert Girdner, thank you. If you're off mute, if you guys, and if you have any questions, come on out. You can shout it out. I'm totally cool with it. But like, my suggestion is, and I'll get to it, but please reconsider your real estate and your marketing depending on what you want to do. You're not going to do real estate, because real estate is going to happen when you're studying the education and you're really focused on a path in studying, and you're not just studying a bunch of classes and all this stuff, and really have a plan, right? Talk to Gavin McCaleb. Use 2 of your calls. Don't tell corporate, I told you use 2 of your calls and then you want 2 more later. And that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you have to, get on the Tuesday night call. That's the free one that goes on all year, or use one of your coaching calls, whatever it is. Figure out your path of real estate and study, and worry about making offers and buying deals in 6 to 12 months. After you're 5-star qualified and you've built a little team. Now watch this. Then you're going to make your mind, if you want this, and this is what, when I point at this, there's whatever there is, there's 70 people on this call. You're right, Lee, there is a contradiction when we spend 20 grand to learn real estate and devote our time to marketing and education instead. How do we explain that to our warm market, many of whom are watching our real estate careers to see what happens? Okay, this is an absolutely perfect question for this segment. So check it out. Number one, everybody on this call, please remember, and this is the absolute truth, is that people told me this. They said, Bill, in marketing, in Renatus, and back in the old days, they said, Bill, you could be killing it. You'd be so good at this marketing because you look at how much real estate you've done, blah, 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 blah. That's absolutely not true. Just because you do a deal does not mean someone's going to spend 20 grand any faster. The only reason people spend 20 grand is not because you did a freaking deal. It's because they believe they can do a deal. It is absolutely not about you and what you're doing. That's all made up. You put out there that crap on Facebook about, oh my God, I did you think if have I ever posted, oh my God, look at me, I've done 130 deals, come do what I do? Most people are going to go, I can't even fathom that. I don't want to do 130 deals. I want to do 1 deal. I'm not going to call Bill. I don't ever use that as a marketing ploy. Never. The gurus that have a system that are marketing to the masses, non-compliant, based on their systems, will massive market, like Tostitos. They market to hundreds of millions of people, and if 1% buys a bag of Tostitos that week, they're good to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different marketing aspect. So the gurus are talking about how much billions they've made and how you can become a billionaire, a millionaire, and a legacy. And you look at all these great guys, and that's great. People, the A personalities, the people that have buying problems, and they go to these seminar junkies and all that stuff. I get it. They're going to go and spend money. It doesn't work here. This is a business of people. We have a system in place where we're an event-driven business. So I totally know what you're saying. And here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying don't spend 20 grand and then never do real estate. That's not it. What I'm saying is get a plan. And if you want to commit to this marketing and you want to if you're on this call and you're going to the meetings and you're inviting 1 or 2 people, and I'm going to get to a couple more things because this is awesome. Watch this. If you're doing that and you want this, it's very, very difficult to do it all at the same time unless you just quit your life. You tell your kids you're not going to any games anymore for a while. You tell your wife you're not going on dates. You tell your job you're working 9 to 5 and that's it. And then you do both. You do real estate and do marketing. And maybe you'll have half success in both. But if we're wondering why we're not all doing it, there's a system in place. And your mind has to be committed to one or the other, or not both. You commit to the real estate in the long term. All right, you commit, you tell yourself, I spent 20 grand, I'm gonna make it up. I'm gonna make it up in real estate and business. The fastest way to money is marketing, it's a fact. Now, if we commit to the real estate and we learn first, so we don't make mistakes, so we know how to analyze a property and we can get to a deal much faster. When we jump in with 2 feet and 4 arms and we hug the real estate opportunity and we just jump in a market like this, and we're like, woo, woo, woo. And we're trying to buy a deal, and the market's a deal's crazy, and we're looking at wholesale deals and wasting our time, and there's no meat on the bone, and we're trying to door knock, but we don't have time to door knock, so we do it once a week, and we're trying to pull a list, but we don't have money to buy a list, so we're only gonna buy it once. That's crap. You're piecing it together, it's not gonna work. Dedicate that time to getting the knowledge first, so you can eliminate all that time frame. Now, you commit your mind to the marketing. You commit your mind to the opportunity to do the marketing. And the marketing is less time, and it's an easier path. It's a simpler path, I should say, okay? Now, when you're talking about you've committed to making 20 grand or paying 20 grand for education, people know it, you're a warm market. They're watching you on Facebook and watching what you do. If they're seriously concerned on what you're doing and you're having conversations with them, the minute you go to school and you become an engineer, or even during school, you're getting a level of education and you're talking a language they can't even comprehend. When you start talking about velocity banking and you're studying it and you're applying velocity banking, that doesn't take any time. When you start your LLC, doesn't take any time or money. When you set yourself up with a living trust, when you set yourself up for tax benefits, when you set up a home office, when you save money on your taxes, when you're working with an accountant, when you're analyzing property, when you're studying education, when you're talking about buy and hold long-term wealth and how a rental property you could buy with subject to, and you're studying these classes, people are intrigued. People are interested because you know something they don't know. All they know is real estate makes some money. All they know is I need a realtor to go buy a down payment on a property. You have knowledge, and your path is not about them. You are not sitting there trying to convince them to join Renatus based on what you've done. If you're doing that, you're wrong. I've never seen a generally speaking where Bob says the first thing you should do is a real estate deal so that you can go tell someone that if you did a real estate deal, they can do a real estate deal too. Is there a generally speaking on that? Not that I know of. What does he say? He says, tell stories. There are hundreds and thousands of stories across the country of other people that have used the education and it works, and they're doing real estate. So when you're talking to your folks about what you're doing and the 20 grand you spent and the opportunity you've involved in and where you are in your studying, and then they ask questions and they want to know how you've done, you start telling stories. You bring them to an event. And when you bring them to an event, they no longer give a crap about what you've done. They don't care if you've done 1 deal or 100 deals. Their mindset is this: if I spend 20 grand, can I do this? Will I do it? Will it work for me? Will I work? Is it true? Is it real? They're not going, is it real for you? They might go, they're going to say that the first time you ask them. But when they see the information, it has nothing to do with you anymore. And if we honestly believe that other people's decisions are based on what we've done as far as real estate deals, come on. I mean, how conceited can we be? It's not true, right? What made me realize while marketing the education is that we're so thrilled about making money that we forget what people are needing and we want to not want to listen. I told Lee, you're awesome. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, Sandra. And this is exactly it. I'm going to go back to 2008 when I was marketing 2008, 9, and 10, right? 9 and 10, I started marketing more, right? And I never had more than, I don't even know, maybe 30, 40,000 in a month. I think I might have had, a month, not a month, a year, you guys. I might have done 50 grand one year, but don't quote me on that. I might be thinking about 2008 when I had 5 sales, but 2 of them were qualifying. So Don't quote me on any of this, on these numbers, because I don't remember, but exactly. But what I do remember is people in my sphere of influence in my real estate business would ask me what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, right? They'd see me raise money, flip houses. If it was the trade people, BPO agents, agents and realtors and brokers and loan officers not making any money in those days, and they're seeing me make money in real estate. So they're wanting to know how I'm doing it. Well, here's what I did. I was so conceited. I was so not system oriented and not mentor dependent or affiliate dependent, not event dependent. What would I do? I'd invite them to an event, they'd go, and then I'd do it all on my own. I'd call them up. I wouldn't even go meet with them. I'd call them up and I'd do an epic over the phone. I'd answer all their questions myself. I'd talk myself in and out of a sale in 5 minutes or in an hour. I wouldn't even they probably are sitting there, get off the phone, Bill. I can't stop talking. I would throw up on them. I would tell them all the great things. I'd tell them what I'm doing, how it works, when it works, who it works for, right? And never, ever, ever made it about them. I didn't study the 10-step program. I skipped Super Saturdays. I did it my way because I didn't have the time for it. I wasn't a marketer. Well, I'm not an IMA. I mean, I do it, you know, when people come to me, they ask me, I'll just bring them there. Right? That's an excuse. That's an excuse for not wanting to fail becoming an IMA. If we do not commit to our mind that this is what we chose to do, and we chose real estate, okay? But we're choosing this first based on the knowledge that we know what's possible when we build a team. In the meantime, we're making real estate offers, okay? Think about it. If your goal is to wholesale a deal a month, great. Then commit to that. But it's very rarely are you going to have the time with a family, a job possibly, and your education and all the offers and all the houses you got to go see and all the lists you got to build and all the buyers people you got to find and all the wholesalers you got to talk to and all these things that you have to do to wholesale a deal a month. That is no small feat, okay? And wholesaling is one of the easiest things you can do in this market. And so if you want to wholesale a deal a month, you've got to commit 100%. And you may go to a few meetings, but you're going to skip them. You might as well just skip the marketing. Pay for the IMA so you can go to the events and you can go to the masterminds and you can meet people in the team and wholesale them a deal. But stop marketing. I'm not going to say that. Take that back, though. Don't stop marketing. But my point is, if we commit to the education and we commit to long-term wealth and that Renata's real estate is a strategy that is a long-term marathon strategy, which is good. Deals are going to come. You will get in your comfort zone, but here's what will happen is you'll have enough knowledge to be like, people say, oh, I've had to analyze 100. You guys, I don't analyze 10 deals a week ever. And I'm flipping 8 properties right now. Good deals come and I'm able to see them and move on or not. Buy or not. I built a team around me to help me do that. So you'll get to that point where you will be efficient in real estate through education, knowledge, and experience. Not your own, but other people's. But the fastest way to money, commit to this business, you grow your team. Your team is a real estate team. They're going to slowly go into, by nature, by environment, they're going to slowly build into an IMA. But in the meantime, your team is going to bring money. They're going to bring time. They're going to bring project management. They're going to bring trade resources, and they're going to bring money. And they're going to bring deals. And they're going to bring retirement funds. When you build a team, you will be simultaneously making $10,000 and building your real estate team. And then you're going to be ultimately, on purpose, building a marketing team that rolls up 2 sales to you. But that's got to be the mindset. maybe you mentioned compliance a couple times. Maybe I missed it, but is there a place in my back office where we're going to learn all the compliance rules? Yes, it's in Helios. Absolutely. There's a couple places in there, specifically under marketing. I think you'll have to play around in Helios, but it's in Helios. It's not. I don't think there's anything in the business center. And then, of course, it's at your trainings. And there's actually a compliance. There's a compliance video presentation in the presentations under marketing done by the attorney as well. And anybody else that wants to chime in on the chat can text that in where they might know where the compliance stuff is. But the compliance forms are back there as well that we have to give out. But Ali, I can go over that with you as well. So here's what we're thinking. What I don't want this to be is a bubble burster by any means. Real estate is key. We all want to make money in real estate. If you want to be a flipper, if you want to flip a home a month or whatever you want to do, awesome. Understand that then your IMA path is your IMA path, okay? And you'll get your retail sales that will come in, and you will have retail sales. But I believe, from what I can tell, and from my experience, and from what I know about some of the other folks out there, is that the path is on purpose. The people that are making the kind of money that you hear about, that you aspire to make through the marketing and building these teams, is a dedicated process and committed to working with other people. So what happens is, when our mindset is about real estate and we do the IMA and we want it and we desire it and we want to talk to people and we want to change people's lives and we want to give them the same opportunity, when we do these things, but then we don't commit to it because we're also committed to the real estate. And what I mean by that is we're trying to do both, right? We're trying to do both. We're trying to balance life, and it's difficult, right? There's just not enough time in the day. I get it. When we do that, what happens is we make it easy to make an excuse not to call somebody, right? To get leads. So we don't see enough people. When we don't see enough people, we invite less people. When we invite less people show up. When less people show up, we have a less skill set. When I started in Renatus in 2016 and said I was going to commit to this, back then it was Craigslist for me, so you got to figure out, what your marketing is going to be now. But, I went full Craigslist every 2 weeks. Sometimes I place more than one ad. Sometimes I place it every week. And I also made my list. And I also decided that it was going to be this way 100%, that I was going to be inviting guests every week. And so I was going through hundreds of leads, but my pencil got sharpened. My ability to speak to people, overcome objections, sort through the curious and not the serious, and really find the people that I want to spend my time with, that were going to be committed, and then going through funding, understanding the funding hurdles and what it takes and how long it takes for people to get this process done. How people, thank you, Anthony, that's awesome. How people react, what people really mean when they say something. This experience is going to take time. So if it takes you a whole year to see 100 people and 5 of them are going to be serious and 2 of them are going to roll, you might have a $20,000 year instead of a $20,000 a month, right? So you can't do it with 1 person or 5 people a month coming to an event if you want the results that you want in marketing. We just have to take a little mind shift. And if you could frame it in your mind, reframe what your image of when you spent the 20 grand and what it's worth, and what it means to you to become a real estate investor and to get into real estate. And you're okay with the terms that a deal is going to come in 6, 12, or 18 months, that, maybe buy and hold and creating wealth is going to be the way you want to be. Like, we're in these markets, you guys, and you've heard me say this. We are in the markets where the most money is made on a down market. The easiest time to make money in real estate is in a down market when you're educated. If you can take the time in an up market like this to learn to be educated in short sales, auctions, raising private money, raising your credit. When you think about wealthy people, the wealthy do both. They have a business that generates more money than they need at the end of the month. And then they are educated to control their investments and typically put it in real estate for long-term wealth. In that process, they find quick-term deals, high money loans that they do with high risk, but they have the extra funds in case they lose it. Fix and flip opportunities, land development opportunities come along because they're in the space. They're in the real estate arena, but they got the funds, the credit, the relationships, and the knowledge to dive in there. And they're in a market when everybody else is running away from it. In the meantime, they're in a market that's going up. They're creating income at the end of the month. Right now, we're poised to sell Renatus. Everybody wants real estate. You have the ability to do it. We have the knowledge. We have the systems. People can get funded. The banks are lending money. Property values are up so they can get HELOCs. People can get jobs so they have money to pay for UGA. All of these things are aligned perfectly for the next boom during this up market for you to be selling the education. And if you don't quit your job and you don't worry about getting into all these deals and you study your education for when the market crashes, you've got a nest egg, you've got money, you've built your credit, build your relationships, build your knowledge, and prepare yourself for the next downturn. Every single day, I wish someone told me that, or that I was freaking smart enough and my back wasn't against the wall and all I needed to do was make 100 grand and 200 grand. And that's all I wanted to do. Because if I'd have just bought and held property in 9, 10, 11, 12, me and you, we would not be having these conversations, folks. Unless I was an educator with Renatus. I bought property back then, but I waited. I didn't buy my first buy and hold till 2013 on purpose. Still a great market. I bought that house for $160,000. It's 5 bedrooms. It rents for $2,500 a month. And it's worth $330,000 to $350,000 right now. But I should have bought 20 of them with other people's money. I raised over $3 million during that time, minimum. But I flipped all the homes. You guys sell this education at a time like now, and you pack away 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, you'll be buying houses at auction. You'll be buying houses on short sales. You'll be putting earnest deposits down with nobody else's money. You won't have to borrow other people's money. You can do your own deals, buy and hold, subject to. You can kick people out of their houses, take over their payments, owner financing, desperate situations, and you will retire a millionaire. Multi. And then you just keep marketing Renatus. But instead, we get caught up in doing these deals, and we half it in the IMA. And it's understandable because you weren't sold on the IMA. We came into it afterwards as an afterthought just because it was intriguing, and selfishly we want to make 10 grand and we'd like to be like the pack or the leaders. But if you really want to be like it, take a look at your actual path, what you're studying, why you're studying it, when you're going to use it, and make this your priority. Make this your business, and then you'll have the knowledge to take your extra money and invest it in real estate when you have a business that creates more money than you need and you're debt-free. That's what I got for you guys. I love you all, man. It's 8 o'clock. Make it a great day. You got my number. I'll put it back in there. I hope that was helpful. So, don't get me wrong, you guys. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you to not do real estate. Thanks, Rico, at all. I'm just suggesting where our mind is on our IMA commitment and why we sometimes don't get the results that we want. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, Bill. It's Patricia, and I want to thank you for being my weekly inspiration. And thank your wife for all her sacrifice and your wife. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I will thank her. She'll appreciate it. Awesome. Thanks, Keely. You guys are great. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I hope you know what I was trying to say. Do real estate. Don't get me wrong, but do it right. All right, folks, if you ever have questions on real estate, if you ever need my help, you got my number. Most of the time, I get back to you as soon as I can. And just make it a great day. Do what you need to do. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep making these calls, and you guys are going to have all the success you want. You guys are awesome. You're welcome, Sandra. Love you guys. Have a great day. Make it a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow on the call, and I'll see you this week. I'll be in Virginia this week. It'll be awesome. Talk to you soon. You're welcome, Anthony. Thanks, Rico.